Okay, so let's go over to this trade recap. I ended up taking 2 losses on RTY. Yeah, I'm gonna show the executions where I could have done better and whatnot. So this is I mean it played out. It's unfortunate. I got stopped out and then it delivered. The first loss was avoidable though, so I'll go over that in a second. So whenever you look at this, whenever you look at daily candle, right? And it's kind of indecisive where because oh we swept this low, we're trading away from this. Can we go for these highs and boom, like these equal highs perhaps? But when we start disrespecting this wick, you need to go on the weekly and understand what is our weekly draw liquidity, right? I always start from the daily, but when the daily isn't clear, right? Since I'm bearish and this closes bullish, I mean not bullish, SSC2. See? When that's the case, I always go to the weekly to understand where's this weekly like to expand? Lower, right? We're probably gonna hit this low. This low wasn't hit yet when I came into the AM session. So this was my buys for RTY, and in theory was pretty much the same on YM. I just know that this low is probably not gonna get hit because of this large wick on the weekly candle. So it's unlikely it gets hit, especially in the AM session, as you can see. So I just wanted to trade RTY here lower. If you go the 4 hour, so we took a previous day's low, but I want you to pay close attention to these. That's the weekly gap, okay? Look at all these fair swings, and that's an hourly swing, wherever it's a gap. Look at all these. So what we do here is we take our previous day's low, and we start retracing. What do we come in contact with? We sweep the high of the day, and revisit the daily open, okay? Now this is before my first loss, actually. I actually took a loss here off of this 30-minute gap. That was definitely super avoidable, and I'll go over why. It's this 5-minute CSD here. Prior to the driver. So first of all, I think it's fine. Okay, whatever. I think it's fine. This 6-hour candle, this wick, is fairly large. But now we have even data low here. And in itself, if you look at RTY, what does it do? It retraces inside of a gap. It's a 50-minute and a 30-minute. Where I'm not really going to show you, but you just get the point. And CSD is lower. So the reason this didn't work out, I'll go for fixed 2R, but I was expecting these to be all right. The reason this didn't work out is because of what YM was doing at this time. There it is, right? It's very close to these highs. And I don't know if YM's going to reverse off of this, right? I don't think if it's going to reverse off of this. So what is likely YM to do? YM is likely to hit all of these. And in that case, this short doesn't make sense. In fact, that's why I lose this. So, whatever. I mean, I'll show you the executions in a second. But then you take out the high, and I'm looking at this. Okay. Take out the high. We have V-shaped CSD, and this is a continuation here. So what am I trading? I'm trading 10 AM. As you can see, it opens here. But here. So bring this closer. And what do we get? This V-shaped CSD. On the 5-minute, on the 3-minute, I think I executed it. On the 3-minute, doesn't really matter. Yeah, I put my limit order at this gap. I stop here, and I was targeting this. Gives me just about 2R, wherever I could have done something like this. And yeah, so this is also the opening price of a new 90-minute candle. Let me remove the joints for you guys. Although you can't really see it. It's this candle close here. This is 10:30 open right here. So this is very close to, I think it moved something. Okay, there's, this is very close to 10:30. 10:30 is opening up here. So it opens high first. I'm just expecting here for price to expand lower. I'm seeing this. And I really like this trade as opposed to the previous one. Right? It was C2 on the 6-hour. the 9 candle in itself is a PSP. I'll go on YM. As you can see, it's a PSP. And at the same time, you see, like, remember that CSD, we get this on YM. It's not super V-shape, but it is a CSD that I could definitely trust, especially if you look at this 5-minute. Right? Look at this close. It is definitely a CSD I can trust. So this trade is completely valid to me. And again, we hit data low, and I still keep my limit order, even though we hit data low first. And yeah, I just get stopped out. So what ends up happening here is, which I think this trade is fine. I really think I could have taken it. I should have just not taken the first trade, because what happens next is very important, right? So we get this SMT with YM in itself. This is a strength switch. Not only did we get this SMT, right? But we also have SSMT with ES, if I'm not mistaken. No, it should be ES. We'll check in a second. See this 90-minute candle, right? It does close as a C2. It's a PSP. And then we get SMT here. Let's go over ES. As you can see, it takes that out. And it starts reversing. See, this is the 1051 close. I go back to YM. There is 1051. You get another V-shaped CSD. Well, honestly, so I did take this on, I'll show you guys this. Well, I took this on paper trading because after 2 losses, I am done for the day. But this is such a clean framework, right? And no wonder it does deliver 2R. And yeah, by the way, if you're wondering, the drawn liquidity was right. So once again, I didn't time this expansion lower properly, but I was very, very confident we were gonna hit these lows. Now that does not allow me to break my rules and just take more than 2 trades. But yeah, or just I don't even know. Yeah, it doesn't allow me to do that, even though I'm confident in that. I still have to respect my rules. And yeah, so this trade was so clean. So hindsight, why did RTY not deliver here? I cannot answer. Why did not deliver off of this CSD and we wanted to take out this high? I cannot answer that, because in theory, most of the time, this is enough for this to deliver. I'm very confident in that. After this V-shape, we don't really want to see another, like, we don't want to hit these highs. There's like no need, especially if we have to inverse this gap, right? Just, yeah. It just, to me, it doesn't really make sense. I guess what you could say is we wanted to put in a new fractal here. So this is where, not where I entered, but this is where I placed my limit order, right? So we get this CSD and this continuation OB here. And my stop loss is around here, I think. Around here. So again, I don't want to see price come back up here. At that point, we're probably gonna take this. And most of the time, even if I'm looking at the 50-minute, most of the time here, 10 a.m. is an expansion candle. We should not revisit 10 a.m. high, right? This is the high. You can see 10 a.m. opens high and it starts expanding. Like, I just want to see this candle here. My limit order was around here. So I'm just demanding this and then expansion lower. And I really, really think this is high probability. But again, unfortunately, this didn't play out. And the first trade is definitely lower probability. And yeah, then after this loss, I could have definitely taken this YM trade. And so it's a little bit weird. It's because if I'm trading RTY, I really don't care about NQS. We can actually go over, I didn't really talk about this. We can go over NQES, why they chopped around. So whenever you have such a, now this is just personal experience mostly through backtesting. Whenever you have such a large expansion day compared to the week, and as a very large wick like this, right? Where there's a large body and a large wick. Usually the next day is an inside day. So anything inside of this here, as you can see, between this high and this low, right? I mean, even previous day's high, right? Just looking at this, you are trading between previous day's high and previous day high and low. Okay. So here, I would say it's likely you expand lower, But if you look at the opening price, right, it's a Friday, don't use. I mean, just I guess there was like PPI, but it's not very high impact, so like CPI and FP. So can I expect this type of expansion? Not really, okay? Especially if you look at the weekly candle, it's definitely not gonna print. I can print as a reversal, but it's not gonna expand past the low of the week. And would you have guessed it? The low of the week is this. Like, it's it past the previous day's low. So we're like most of the time, unless it's PM session, but actually AM, okay? AM session. Usually we won't get this type of expansion. So I really do not care what ES and NQ were doing here. I really like I was looking at them, but I was not willing to trade them whatsoever. What I was willing to trade is mostly RTY, but also YM. And yeah, when I see this such a good framework, look at this candle, man. Look at this close. Right? It's just it's just very, very unlucky I get stopped out here. And I think this most of the time should deliver. And the only thing that is that this wasn't so V-shape, but we get this plus a gap as well. It's just most of the time we don't hit this high, I'll be honest. Even though this is not V-shape, like takes a little bit. This, yeah. Arguably not even this is super V-shape. You can see there's a bunch of like up close candles, takes quite a bit. Just a right drawn liquidity, wrong timing again. This is very unlucky. Look at this. I saw such a good framework. If I'm not mistaken, this is also inside of an hourly gap. Yep. As you can see, we're respecting this hourly gap here. And yeah, very unfortunate. What could definitely done better is just wait for him to take out these highs because it was likely to do that. Yeah, but again, I'm not bullish on YM. The weekly does not support expansion higher. That's why it probably didn't hit this. Now, most of the time, it probably does. It's whatever. What do we hit? It's not even previous day's high. Like these equalize here. I don't even know. It just hit the high at the end that capped off the range. Because we were bearish for the week. So sometimes we do this type of stuff. So yeah. And yeah, so one thing we could have done better is not taking the first RTY trade, and to avoid the second one, actually, what you do is you require SMT. But I personally don't. Something I do need to experiment with. Because if I did require SMT here, there was no SMT between a swing point. Okay, so I don't know if YM or RTY are going to deliver lower. Then once we get this, right, this technically it's not a strength switch, I guess, but you can see YM is very higher. It's way higher into the range, so it can be considered a strength switch. Like if we pull up, let me see if I can use it even. Okay, so it's actually should be reversed. What am I doing? So sorry. So it's in premium. You can see YM is in premium. Go on RTY between this range high and low. It's in discount. Right, ideally short RTY. That's why I shorted RTY here, right? But this is the strength switch, right? I may change this to EQ. So yeah, if you do require SMT, well, this trade would have been pretty much the only trade you can take on YM or an RTY. Yeah, so that's very unlucky. I still think that most of the time this gap does hold and it does deliver. The only thing here that you could say it's not the best thing is that we do have SMT between these lows. Okay. And so the 1030 candle is opening within almost like creating a swing point to trade higher. Now, of course, that's fake. We know because like anything away from these figures doesn't make sense. But as you can see, every asset does that. So then when YM does this, right, you get stopped out. And that's the main thing. Those are the things I could have done better. Nonetheless, I got my buys right. and I wasn't able to time the market properly. I've been struggling quite a bit. But that, oh, actually, I gotta show you execution. I mean, why the fuck would I lie about this stuff? I mean, would I lie about two losses? Definitely no. There it is. So that's the first loss, which so this 5 minute. A short here. I got a pretty nice fill, but I stopped out, so that doesn't really matter, I guess. I guess I risked a little bit less. And then there is my entry on the gap, and I got stopped out about deep bodies here. And yeah, those are my two trades for that day. There's well, actually I can show you the paper trades. Or paper trade on my M. Or is an old one right there. And there it is, the 5 minute 5 minute CSD. Which I entered, I mean, where my fare is a little bit lower, it doesn't really matter as much. I can just get to R with this low. Yep. And yeah, that's actually gonna be it for this not back destination, for this trade recap. I took a bunch of like RTY shorts wherever, just a bunch of randomized trades. I'll be honest, that those are like a little bit where this is like very high probability. And yeah, so then that's gonna be it.